আছেন স্যার?
আমি ভালো আছি। এই করোনার এই ক্রান্তিকালে তোমরা খুব সাবধানে থাকবা, বাসায় থাকবা। আমরা তোমাদের এই একটু তোমাদেরকে অ্যাক্টিভ রাখার জন্য যে প্রয়াস চালাচ্ছি এটার সাথে সংযুক্ত থেকো। কেমন?
জি স্যার। জি স্যার, ইনশাআল্লাহ স্যার।
তাহলে তাহলে আমি শুরু করি, তাই না?
স্যার আপনারাও সাবধানে থাকেন স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা, থ্যাংক ইউ। আমি তোমাদের তো পরীক্ষা কাছাকাছি চলে আসছে। তো কখন হবে এটা ঠিক আমরা তো বলতে পারতেছি না এখন, এবং কি হয় তোমাদের। যাই হোক, তোমাদেরকে অ্যাক্টিভ রাখার জন্যই আমাদের এই প্রয়াস। তোমরা আম, খেয়াল করো ভালো করে ক্লাসগুলো। আমি প্রথম থেকে একদম জেনারেল প্যাথোলজি থেকে কোশ্চেন ওরিয়েন্টেড তোমাদেরকে আইডিয়া দিচ্ছি, যাতে তোমাদের পরীক্ষাতে সুবিধা হয়, তোমরা সবাই যাতে একসাথে পাস করতে পারো একেবারে 100%। কেমন? সো আই ক্যান স্টার্ট। ফার্স্ট অফ অল, general pathology, the chapter inflammation and repair. Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Uh, inflammation chapter থেকে যে কোশ্চেনটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, প্রথমেই define acute inflammation, what are the etiology of acute inflammation, and describe the different events of acute inflammation. The acute inflammation, as you know, it is the reaction of the vascularized living tissue to injurious agents. And the etiological factors are different microbes like bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi, and tissue necrotic factors, foreign body, and immune reactions. Physical factors causing acute inflammation. The different events of acute inflammation are divided into two groups. One is vascular event, another is cellular events. The vascular events starts with the transient vasoconstriction, followed by
এই স্বর্ণা, তোমার স্ক্রিন অফ করো।
intransudates is low and the specific gravity of exudate is high. So this is exudate and transudate. Now, chemical mediators of acute inflammation. Now, chemical mediators of acute inflammation. The chemical mediators of acute inflammation. Can you hear?
জি স্যার,
Can
শোনা
you
যাইতেছে
hear?
স্যার।
Yes, sir.
The chemical
জি
mediators
স্যার
of
এত
acute inflammation. কোনো প্রবলেম? কোনো প্রবলেম ফেস করতেছো তোমরা?
না স্যার মাঝখানে শোনা যায় নাই, এখন শোনা যাচ্ছে।
ও আচ্ছা 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 আচ্ছা। The chemical mediators of acute inflammation are vasoactive amines, plasma proteases, arachidonic acid metabolites, lysosomal enzymes, auxin-derived free radicals, platelet activating factors, and cytokines. Plasma proteases, again, these are grouped into three systems. One is kinase system, another is complement system, and another is clotting system. You know all about this. In complement system, there is three pathways of complement activation. One is the alternate pathway. Alternate pathway is activated by endotoxin, propardin, and snake venom. And another is the lectin pathway, and another is the classic pathway, which is activated by antigen antibody complex. So the different products of this system take part in the process of acute inflammation. So these are the mediators. I am not going to details about the chemical mediators. Now, the morphological pattern of acute inflammation. You may be asked in your viva or it may be in written exam. What are the morphological patterns of acute inflammation? The morphological pattern of acute inflammation are serous, fibrinous, serofibrinous, purulent, and ulcer. Serous inflammation, you can take example of blister or burn. This is serous inflammation. Or the blister that is formed in chicken pox. These are serous inflammation. Fibrinous, this is bread and butter pericarditis, one of the best example. And the purulent is abscess, boil, furuncle, carbuncle. These are the example of purulent inflammation. Now ulcer. Ulcer may start as an acute inflammation and definitely it will go into chronic inflammation. Now you may be asked, what is ulcer? An ulcer is a local defect or excavation produced on the surface of an organ or tissue due to sloughing out of inflammatory necrotic tissue. All of you know ulcer. Just for your recapitulation, an ulcer is a local defect or excavation produced on the surface of an organ or tissue due to sloughing out or shedding out of the inflammatory necrotic tissue. For description, an ulcer has a particular size, shape, margin, base, and floor. So this is ulcer. And you may be asked in your examination in the systemic part, what are the ulcerative lesions of the GI tract? I have already told the ulcerative lesions of the GI tract, and again I shall discuss during your lecture on systemic pathology. Now the outcome of acute inflammation or the fate of acute inflammation. The outcome or fate of acute inflammation, majority of the acute inflammation resolute. So complete resolution is one of the important outcome, and few of them may turn into chronicity. As for example, acute cholecystitis, acute pyelonephritis, acute osteomyelitis may turn into chronic cholecystitis, pyelonephritis, or chronic osteomyelitis. So acute inflammation may turn into chronic inflammation. Or there may be abscess formation. Sometimes you may find abscess formation in as an outcome of acute inflammation. So this is in brief acute inflammation. Now another topic, which is chronic inflammation. In this part I shall discuss chronic inflammation, granuloma, granulation tissue, and systemic effects of acute and chronic inflammation. Now, chronic inflammation, how we will define chronic inflammation? Chronic inflammation is an inflammation of prolonged duration characterized by acute inflammation, tissue destruction, and attempts at repair proceeding simultaneously. So three things. One is active inflammation, and that is tissue destruction, and the third one is attempts at repair. You will find these three things simultaneously in chronic inflammation. Now examples of chronic inflammation are chronic cholecystitis, pyelonephritis, chronic osteomyelitis, and granulomatous inflammation. Now, what is granuloma? Granuloma is a focal collection of epithelial cell surrounded by mononuclear cell, especially lymphocyte, occasional macrophage, occasional plasma cell, and giant cell fibroblast with or without caseation necrosis. So granuloma, it is a question of written exam, it is a question of viva exam. What is granuloma? Granuloma is a focal collection of epithelial cell surrounded by surrounded by mononuclear cell, usually lymphocyte, occasional fibroblast, and plasma cell with or without caseation necrosis. Sometimes you will find caseation, sometimes you may not find any caseation necrosis. As for example, in tuberculosis, you will find caseation necrosis. But in sarcoidosis, you will never find any caseation necrosis. Or in granuloma of Crohn's disease, you will never find any caseation necrosis. Now, you may be asked, what are the granulomatous inflammation? Granulomatous inflammation are inflammatory, say for example, tuberculosis, syphilis, leprosy, cat scratch disease. These are inflammatory granulomatous inflammation. Sometimes you may find foreign body granuloma. Sometimes you may find immunological granuloma, as for example, sarcoidosis. So these are the types of granulomatous inflammation. Now, granulation tissue. Granulation tissue is a specialized connective tissue in which you will find newly formed capillaries, these newly formed capillaries and connective tissue. This connective tissue is edematous and it is soft in consistency, granular in appearance, pinkish in color, bleed on touch, and relatively insensitive. So granulation tissue is a specialized type of highly vascularized connective tissue which is edematous, soft in consistency, granular in appearance, pinkish in color, and it bleeds on touch and relatively insensitive. Where you will find granulation tissue? You will find granulation tissue where there is inflammation. As for example, in chronic inflammation, you will find granulation tissue. You will find granulation tissue in wound healing, and you will find this tissue in the malignant tumor where there occurs massive necrosis. Now the systemic effects of inflammation. The systemic effects of inflammation are fever, acute phase protein, and leukocytosis. Fever, acute phase protein, and leukocytosis. Again in this chapter you will find another thing, regeneration and repair. A regeneration is a term in which there is replacement of the lost tissue by the same type of tissue. It is regeneration. And repair is the replacement of the lost tissue by connective tissue. So that definitely there is a difference between regeneration and repair. If there is replacement of the lost tissue by the same type of cell, this is regeneration. If it is replaced by different types of cells, say for example connective tissue, then we call repair. Now you may be asked, what are the abnormalities in the wound healing? The abnormalities or the complications of wound healing are wound dehiscence, that is wound rupture. There may be rupture of the wound, or there may be ulceration. So there may be rupture of the wound, that is wound dehiscence, or there may be ulceration of the wound. Sometimes you will find inadequate granulation tissue formation within the wound. Sometimes you will find excessive granulation tissue formation. The excessive granulation tissue which is formed in a wound, we call it proud flesh or exuberant granulation tissue. So you can be asked in your examination, what is proud flesh? Proud flesh means excessive granulation tissue formation in the wound. Another important abnormalities or complication of wound healing is the hypertrophic scar and keloid. You may be asked in your examination, what is the difference between hypertrophic scar and keloid? Hypertrophic scar means excessive granulation tissue formation within the wounded area. But keloid, again it is excessive granulation tissue formation, but it extends beyond the limit of the original wound space. If it remains within the wound space, we call it hypertrophic scar. But if it extends beyond the original wound area, we call it keloid. Usually you will find in your practical life keloid in the midline wound, in the sternum, in the abdomen, in the midline wound you will find keloid. So this is difference between hypertrophic scar and keloid. So that abnormalities or complications of wound healing are wound dehiscence or rupture, ulceration, inadequate granulation tissue formation, excessive granulation tissue formation or keloid or proud flesh, hypertrophic scar and keloid. Now, what are the factors modifying wound healing? Definitely, there are a few factors which augment the wound healing, that is accelerates the wound healing, and there are some factors which retards the wound healing. The factors retarding wound healing are inadequate nutrition, less vascularity, movement of the wounded area, and if the patient is diabetic. So if there is malnourishment or inadequate blood supply or movement of the wounded part, or if the patient is diabetic, then the wound healing will be delayed. And how the wound healing will be accelerated? If you supply more and more blood in the wounded area, or if you supplement vitamin C or nutritious diet, then the wound healing will be accelerated. Or if there is control of diabetes mellitus, oil controlled. So this is in brief. কি কোনো প্রবলেম তোমাদের? কোনো প্রবলেম হচ্ছে? আচ্ছা, থ্যাংক ইউ। নাও ইন নেক্সট চ্যাপ্টার, সেলুলার রেসপন্স টু ইনজুরি, মানে সেল ইনজুরি চ্যাপ্টার আমরা একটু আলোচনা করব। নাও দ্য সেলুলার রেসপন্স টু ইনজুরি অর স্ট্রেস। You can be asked in your examination, what are the cellular response to injurious agent or stress? First of all, you will tell adaptive change, and then reversible and irreversible injury, and then metabolic changes, that is intracellular accumulation, and finally aging. So these are the cellular response to injurious agents or stress. Now, what are the adaptive changes? All of you know these are hyperplasia, hypertrophy, atrophy, and metaplasia. Hyperplasia, hypertrophy, atrophy, and metaplasia. Hyperplasia means increased size of an organ due to increased number of individual cells. These hyperplasia may be physiological or it may be pathological. The hypertrophy, it is increased size of an organ due to increased size of individual cell. Again, it may be physiological or pathological. Now, atrophy. Atrophy means shrinkage of the cell, as a result of which the organ size will diminish. And there are different causes of atrophy. These are disease atrophy, or if there is loss of endocrine stimulation, if there is loss of vascularity, or if there is inadequate nutrition, or aging process is the cause of atrophy. Now, metaplasia. Metaplasia is a reversible change in which one adult cell is replaced by another adult cell of similar nature. So metaplasia means it is a reversible change in which one mature or adult cell is replaced by another mature or adult cell by similar nature. The types of metaplasia are epithelial metaplasia and connective tissue metaplasia. Again, epithelial metaplasia are of two types. One is squamous metaplasia, another is columnar metaplasia. One of the best example of columnar metaplasia is in the lower end of the esophagus. If there is reflux of the acid gastric contents into the lower end of the esophagus, the esophageal stratified squamous epithelium will be changed into columnar epithelium. So this is columnar metaplasia. The squamous metaplasia you will find in the endocervix or in the endocervical glands, in the respiratory tract, in the gallbladder, in the ducts of all exocrine glands. These sites are normally lined with tall columnar secretory epithelium. Due to chronic process, these secretory epithelium may change to stratified squamous epithelium. So we call it squamous metaplasia. Connective tissue metaplasia, if there is injury to the muscle tissue or fibrous tissue, you will find even bone formation within the muscle tissue or in the fibrous tissue. This is called connective tissue metaplasia. In this regards, you must know another thing, that is necrosis and apoptosis and reversible cell injury, fatty change and cellular swelling. You may be asked in your examination how hypoxia causes reversible cell injury, or how it causes irreversible cell injury. You know, all of you, I think all of you know how hypoxia causes reversible cell injury. And you must know apoptosis and necrosis. Apoptosis and the difference between apoptosis and necrosis. Apoptosis, it is both physiological and pathological process. It is apoptosis is just a removal of unwanted substances or cells from the main tissue. But necrosis is the spectrum of morphological changes that follow cell death in a living tissue or organ due to progressive degradative action of the enzymes on lethally injured cell. The basic changes that occur in necrosis are denaturation of protein and enzymatic digestion. Clear? So this is necrosis. Another term is fatty change, which is again reversible. Fatty change of the liver. Fatty change of the liver means excessive accumulation of triglyceride within the parenchymal cell of the liver is called fatty change. The causes of this fatty change are excessive fat intake, malnutrition, diabetes mellitus, steroid therapy, or prolonged starvation. These are the few causes of fatty change. Clear? তাহলে পরীক্ষাতে তোমাদের এই দুটো চ্যাপ্টারের মধ্যে যে যে কোশ্চেনগুলো আবার তোমরা একটু খেয়াল করো, কোন কোন কোশ্চেনগুলো আমি বললাম রিটেনের জন্য, যে define inflammation, what are the different events of acute inflammation, describe the chemical mediators of acute inflammation. This is one of the important questions. Another is, what is the difference between exudate and transudate, and what are the morphological pattern of acute and chronic inflammation, and what are the outcome of acute inflammation. In chronic inflammation, define chronic inflammation, define granuloma, draw and label the structure of a tubercle. That is, granuloma in tuberculosis is called tubercle. Draw and label the structure of a tubercle. তোমরা বইয়ের মধ্যে এটা দেখবা, এটা তোমাদের বইয়ের ছবি আছে। আর define regeneration and repair. What are the factors modifying wound healing? What are the complications of wound healing? These are the questions important for written examination. Now, in cell injury chapter, what are the cellular response to injury? Or simply you can be asked, what are the adaptive changes or cellular adaptation? Define metaplasia, give example. Now, what is the difference between a reversible, that is apoptosis and necrosis, and what is fatty change, how fatty change occurs in the liver. So these are the important questions. তাহলে আমরা এখানে আরেকটা জিনিস রয়ে গেছে যেটা আমি বাদ দিয়ে গেলাম, সেটা হলো ইন্ট্রাসেলুলার একুমুলেশন। ইন্ট্রাসেলুলার একুমুলেশন তোমাদের ইম্পর্টেন্ট এখানে হলো ইন্ট্রাসেলুলার একুমুলেশনের মধ্যে intrinsic and extrinsic accumulation. This is important. Another is calcification, metastatic calcification and dystrophic calcification. If there is calcification within the living tissue, we call it metastatic calcification. If this happens in the dead tissue, we call it dystrophic calcification. For metastatic calcification, the level of ionized calcium may be normal, but in dystrophic calcification, it is raised. This is important question for written also. Metastatic and dystrophic calcification. Another important question in this regard is the calcification. What are the causes of hypercalcemia and what is calcification? This is important. Next chapter হলো তোমাদের জন্য important neoplasm. আমি এটা তোমাদেরকে আরেকটা ক্লাসে আলোচনা করব। কেমন? আজকে তাহলে এতটুকুই থাক। Thank you all. I think you will remain in your house with safety.
স্যার অ্যাপোপ্টোসিসটা আবার একটু বলেন।
Apoptosis, it is both physiological and pathological process. Here only the unwanted cell is lost. Only the unwanted cell is lost. Here the cell are at the tissue size, shape and orientation all remains normal. Only the তোমাদেরকে একটা এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে বলি, একটা আঙ্গুরের ছড়া যদি চিন্তা করো, আঙ্গুর ফলের ছড়া, এখানে যেই আঙ্গুর ফলটা নষ্ট হয়ে যায়, এটা যখন ড্রপ আউট হয়ে যায়, ঠিক অ্যাপোপ্টোসিসের বেলাও যেই আনওয়ান্টেড সেল যেটা সেটা ড্রপড আউট হয়ে যাওয়া, এটাকেই বলছি আমরা অ্যাপোপ্টোসিস। ক্লিয়ার?
জি স্যার।
তাহলে নেক্সট ক্লাস তোমরা কোন দিন করবা? কালকে করবা তোমরা?
জি স্যার।
আচ্ছা, তাহলে কালকে ঠিক এই সময় আমি জেনারেল প্যাথোলজির বাকি চ্যাপ্টার গুলো আলোচনা করব। নিউপ্লাজম একটু বড়, আর বাকি মানে ডিসঅর্ডারস অফ ইমিউন সিস্টেম, জেনেটিক্স, ফুড এন্ড নিউট্রিশন। কেমন? থ্যাংক ইউ অল।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।